The State Training Committee, Tom Marty, for the purpose of an introduction.
Good morning, y'all. All right, we're pretty fortunate this morning that the gentleman that's going to get up here and teach this class, Scott T. Armstrong, is actually a member of my post. He's one of our Sons members, a proud member of Post 159. And Scott's the director of Boise State. He's probably one of the most knowledgeable people in this state in reference to this program. And at this point, Scott, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Well, good morning. Now let's start that out the right way. Howdy. And that's what we like to do in College Station. I'm so glad to be here. I'd like to say thank you especially to Commander Perkins, where he sat down, I don't see. Commander Perkins, all the past commanders here, I know there's a past national, past state commander over here, and all you district commanders, and all the Legionnaires that are here. God bless you, and thank you so much for the opportunity. And Tom, thank you so much for the introduction. Being my hometown right there, both my boys have gone through a Post 159 Eagle Scouting out of 159, so their pictures hang proudly there at the Earl Graham Post in Bryan College Station. I'm glad to be here, and I don't have handouts for you, but I've got one thing I'm going to leave with you that you'll see on the screens today, and it's the website. We have an executive team at Boise State that have been coming back to Boise State. I've been back 35 years now. We've been, John Loomis has been here 38 years. Dr. Dale Furman, okay, how many of y'all remember Dr. Haney? Well, I'll tell you what, he has handpicked a large group of executive committee members to come back as counselors. What an honor it is to come back to Texas Boise State as a counselor. Because you were chosen by your senior counselors, you were chosen by the executives there at Boise State, the leaders and the counselors, that you exhibited some type of leadership that you could convey to others as they come back to the program. So that's where the leadership from Texas Boise State comes from. And I'll say it the proper way. We always introduce Boise State as the American Legion Department of Texas Boise State program. That's what we call it. I remember Two Jack used to come up and introduce us that way, and we always stay with it. I'd like to tell you one thing this morning. My name is Scott T. Armstrong, and I'm going to try to figure out how to work this. All right, again, thank you very much to the commander and all you district commanders. It's going to be a challenge to all of you district commanders. I hear 22, 19 got separated into two different places. So 22 district commanders should be here today. Thank you for being here. 474 posts. Dwindled down now to about 440. So we need to keep our eyes on that. Districts need to do your homework back at your post. Out of 2,700 public schools, only 2,700 public schools. That's not to mention parochial schools, private schools, home schools. 2,700 public schools, we touch less than a third of those public schools in the state of Texas. So we got a long way to go, and we can't do it by ourselves. Gene's district can't do it by himself. Everybody has to participate. So that's what we're going to have a challenge here at the end of this presentation about how can I participate more in selecting delegates to American Legion Texas and Boise State. So again, thank you. All right, here we go. Now I'm going to play this for you. You're going to see this play, and I want you to keep an eye on it because you're going to see it later on in the program, and it's an overlay that goes on our website continually. Now this was put together by our boys. We started in 2015, a media program. The boys brought that into so they could learn more in depth about the politics and about the processes at Boise State. I want you to watch this. The boys put it together.
name is Joseph Copser, retired Lieutenant Colonel, United States Army.
Hi, I'm Sylvia Garcia, State Senator. Hi, I'm Amy Louise. I am Edna Stout.
I'm Richard Delgado Jr. I'm State Representative Cecil Bell Jr. I'm Tom Maynard. I'm John Green, Washington County Judge. I'm Colonel Clark Strong. Hi, I'm Terry Wilson. I'm retired Colonel Jim Stryker. And I am. And I am. I am. I am.
I am.
I am. I am. I am.
So the boys put that together. They started on Sunday afternoon, not knowing anything about the Boy State program, not knowing anything about the American Legion, except for the interview that they had back at their home post. So they saw the blue hats, they saw the service, they saw the dedication that the American Legion members had in their post and had in their community. So that transferred over to them when they got here to Boy State. We just continued that momentum and brought it out. Who is Texas Boy State? You just heard everybody say, I am Texas Boy State. We are Texas Boy State. Who is Texas Boy State? Who is the American Legion? A lot of people ask that question. Who's the American Legion? Who are these American Legion Texas Boy Staters? Well, I'll tell you who they are. They are who you send. So you send us boys from all over the state of Texas. You send us tall ones and short ones and band members and athletic members, academians, and all kinds of people that you send. But how is it that you send those? You send us some that get wrapped up right away into the flag and the etiquette and the color guard and the patriotism and the color and the things that we do to teach patriotism. You send us some that get into athletics and get into fellowship and get into working together. You send us some that are band members and do a fantastic job. We have so many 5A top-notch state champion band members. It's unbelievable. Fantastic band. You send us future leaders is what you send us. So instead of looking at those high school boys as just high school boys, there's a Boy Stater right there. Dr. Happy Settle, Dean Alexander, Colonel Dean Alexander, counselors, Dr. Jerry Cheatham, all counselors, all Boy Staters that have come through the program, that somebody saw something in them and sent them to the program. Joseph Campbell, my goodness gracious, what a mentor he is. Now this little fellow right here that's mentoring went through an Eagle Scout program. You can see right there, Trey Arnold. Now look at his slide that he put together for his Eagle Scout Court of Honor. And you'll see right there below, Flag Retirement Pit, Boy State. If you go a little bit farther, you'll see Air Force. And now you see Trey Arnold as Second Lieutenant Trey Arnold. Graduated from the United States Air Force Academy. Is Joseph Campbell out here today? There he is. God bless you. Thank you so much. How about a hand for Big Joe back there? Testimonies like this roll and roll and roll. They go so much. There's old Patrick Rose right there. What is it? 43. There's my buddy, Texas Aggie right there. Challenger 7 outfit, Dan Gaddis, representative from District 20. My Boy Stater buddy right there, Kobe Shorter, 1984. Deputy Secretary of State over at the Capitol. So I tell you what, these boys that you send, those boys that you send, the duo docs we call them right there, Dr. Jerry Cheatham, Dr. Happy Settle. Well, I'll tell you what, they are the leaders, and in no time at all. Look at our chairman right now. Fellow Boy Stater right here from Texas. Now Boy State chairman for the American Legion of Texas Boy State. He was just a kid that some Legionnaire sent to go to the Boy State program. So be real careful how you choose these boys, whether they're big or small, or smart or dumb, or play instrument or don't, or play football or don't. Look inside of who they are, see if you can see leadership capability in them. We're going to look at that in just a minute, who you're going to look for. American Legion. Boy State is among the most respected and selected educational programs. This is right out of National. Programs of government instruction for high school students. It is a participatory program where each student becomes a part of the operation of his local, county, and state government. How many of you are familiar with Boy State? I'd hope everybody would raise your hand. Because there's a lot of people out there that just don't quite know what the program does. We go to nationals, and there's even some there in Indianapolis that don't quite know exactly what Boys State is. They do baseball. No offense, Mr. Toohey. Don does a fantastic job at both of them. Makes it up there. So, that's great. You say, that's wonderful. Okay, you told us who needs to be there and how it is, but how do we get there? How do we apply? So I'm going to go through the application process. I'm going to show you exactly what you're going to see and what you're going to need to remember after today. That right there. TexasBoysState.com. There's two S's in there, Boys State. TexasBoysState.com. And how many of you have looked at the website here in the last 3, 4, 5 months? It's very interactive, it's very forgiving, it's very friendly. And I'm going to show you exactly what it looks like. That's the front page. It's an interactive front page developed by the Boys Staters that have come through here, developed by the counselors that have come back to the program that are now IT specialists, that are now Dr. Darren Bryden, Dr. Asim Saeed, those that are out there actually driving Teslas and figuring out how to make them better. These are the Boys Staters that somebody sent to the program, and now they're giving back to the program, just as Eagle Scouts' charge is to give back to your community. So this is what you'll see. It's very simple. Top right, you see Apply Now. Far left, Learn by Doing. That's our motto. Look on the left-hand side, you see only four choices. What is Texas Boys State? You click it, it'll just give you all kinds of information, and it just goes on a lot of rabbit trails. You can just click that all day long and never reach the end. You can go down to For Parents. If you're a parent, well, that's where you click. It's pretty self-explanatory. For schools, school administrators, school advisors, school counselors, that's where you would click if you want information on that. For Legion, now we're getting down there with rubber meets the road. We're going to go to that tab in just a few minutes, and it tells you exactly step by step what to go through and even what to look for in your boys. So we're going to start right here. Texas Boys State application. Now I just clicked Apply Now at the top right. That's the page that you're going to see. Apply Now. The only way to proceed, you press the button at the bottom. It tells you exactly what to do step by step, and we begin the application process. Now, I'm stepping a little forward here just for a minute. We're going to go back at the end of this. I'm going to go through this almost twice. We're going to go through the application process, but before this application is filled out, you as a Legionnaire are going to have already shook a hand and identified a delegate to fill out this application. So you are the key to getting to this application process. We're going to run through this real quick, and then we're going to talk about how you get your stater to this position right here where he fills out the application. I'm going to tell you about some incorrect applications and the percentages. I'll tell you right now, I got a slide on it, but is Mamie here at all? My goodness gracious, Mamie does such a great job at headquarters. 70% from 2015 and before, 70% of all paper applications were incorrect or had some error on them somewhere. 70%. So that's 700 applications. Anybody want to take a guess at what percentage today has errors on them? Yes or no? That's very close. Anybody else? Less than 3%. Less than 3%. And that's only because a phone number was entered incorrectly. But we've got the doctors and the addresses, and we've got all the zip codes, we've got the posts, we've got the districts. Everything is correct on the application. Now, less than 3% are wrong anymore. This is what you see. Now, as you go to that page, you scroll down. And as you scroll down, reading the instructions, at the very bottom of the page, you'll see Texas Boys State application. Now, this is very self-explanatory. TexasBoysState.com. Click on Apply Now, and remember, you scroll down, and this tells you how to apply. And the application is right there at the bottom, Texas Boys State application. I think we just cut the bottom off. It's just to Apply Now. When you click that at the bottom, this is the application. So the boy himself will fill this application out. You've already vetted him. We're going to go back to that, remember? We've already vetted him. and now we've decided he is a good delegate for the program. This is what the boy fills out. Certainly he's not going to get his name wrong. Certainly he's not going to get his parents' name wrong or his address or his telephone number. So it's just self-explanatory. As we go through this, it has all the checks on it. Now, as he goes through, you get down to the bottom, it says signature needed. Well, you can't really put a digital signature on that. We do not do that as of yet. We still do paper copies. What we'll do is this. When it gets to this point, you'll see at the bottom it says next step. We fill out all the information. Now let's say we didn't quite do it correctly. That's what's going to happen. You're going to get the screen come back to you in red, and it'll say exactly what you didn't do correctly. Now I put there must check here. You know it's always got that I accept or I agree down at the bottom. It's the same thing. We've got that I accept down at the bottom. And this just happens to be the Boys State Pledge. So there's your first clue right there. What all of you ought to know is the Boys State Pledge. What am I asking this young man to do when I choose him as a delegate to go to Texas Boys State? Here's what you ask him. Now I'm going to have to walk over here and read this. There's a little microphone right here. I'm going to read this out loud. Can you? Tom.
Turn it back on, I got it.
Beautiful. Thank you, Tom. Now, I'm only going to read this to you because I want you to hear it. You know, when you go to school, you hear something, you read something, and then you hear it again so you can commit this to memory so you know the characteristics we're looking for. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands. I have never attended American Legion Boys State. I sincerely want to attend Texas Boys State, and if accepted, will to the best of my ability, here it is, take serious and conscious interest in discharging my duties as a citizen. I will obey the rules of Boys State. I will respect the judgment of the Boys State director, counselors, and staff. I will participate in all activities, seek election or appointment to office, and if elected or appointed, serve that office. Keep myself neat and well-groomed at all times. Avoid the use of profane language and actions. Refrain from injurious habits such as the use of tobacco, alcohol, and illicit drugs. And upon my return home from Boys State, I will make a formal oral or written report to my sponsors and brief next year's Boys State nominees. That's a pretty good pledge. Thank you, Tom. That's a pretty good pledge. I wanted you to hear that because that's what you're asking your boys to do. You're asking them to commit because at the bottom it says, I accept. So once they accept that charge and that challenge that you have given them, you need to already know what that charge is. So you can hold them accountable to doing it. When they come back home, did you? Did you? So the Boys State application goes on after you accept it. You hit that next button and you got no red marks. This is the next page. You've got the student, now you've got the parent. The parent, easy enough, knows their name and their address, so they fill out all the prospective information. Now, this is the parent's certification of consent. Because what is a 17-year-old? A minor. A minor. And we're going to get into why every district needs to have one representative at Boys State here in just a little bit too, because we need hats. We need bodies at Boys State just for the sheer numbers. Because the rules, the YPT training for scouts and YPT training for church groups, or any groups consisting of minors, is getting more and more strict, and a lot more liability goes with it. So we're going to look at challenging a bunch of you guys from the district to come to Boys State and just be there, if nothing else, to soak in the program and be a warm body so you can help us meet those liability constraints that we have. So the parents will sign a consent that it's okay for their minor to attend this program. We'll go on, and then remember at the next, right down here at the bottom it says next step. Again, if you see red after you hit that next, it's forgiving. You just correct the red and you move on. It's very simple. No worries, it's very forgiving for you. You move on next is the physician's information. Very simple. Who's your doctor? What's his telephone number? What's his address? Same thing, scroll down at the very bottom down here, you'll see the next button. There's the next step right there. School administrator. Now, remember the 2,700 public schools. Well, that's pretty simple. You've got a school administrator, a counselor, someone that recommended you to the program. Now, what about a homeschool? What about a collegiate school? If you're a homeschool, who is your advisor, your supervisor, your administrator? Probably your mom. If it's the Armstrong homeschool, well, it's Diana Armstrong. She's the school administrator. But we're going to go back to this. You still have to go through the Legion before you fill this application out. You still have to go through the Legion. For printed or email, let's see what that for printed or signature school administrator. That's the bottom. Next step at the bottom. Then the Legion sponsor. Now this is the step right here that if a homeschooler comes up and says, well, wait a minute, I live out in Pecos, Texas, or maybe not Pecos, I live out in nowhere, Texas, and there's no active post out here. What do I do? Well, this is where this fellow right here that just stood up, thank you, Gene. Gene Tuohy helped us out last year immensely. We had a clearinghouse when we had no active posts. We couldn't get a hold of the districts. Gene vetted 10% of all that came to Boise State and put them in contact with the correct districts, and we got them signed up and sponsored and vetted. They had direct conversation with a Legionnaire to be appointed to the program. No one can come to the program unless they go through a Legionnaire and are sponsored. So you got to remember that. That's why we need all of your participation to do this. Again, at the bottom, after you get that Legion sponsor, it's got a submit button. Okay, you go ahead and submit that. Now remember, there's no signatures on this yet. It's just all electronic. When you submit it, now look here what it says. You will receive an email, and in that email, you'll get all this information back in your email. Now I'm talking about the delegate here. So the Legionnaire, your job is to say, okay, delegate, prospective delegate, when you get your email, you need to print that out and bring that to me because it needs signatures. And I need to sign it as a sponsor, your school administrator needs to sign it, and your parents need to sign that. So it will come back in an email to the delegate. He'll carry it around, get all the signatures on it. You've already vetted him, already approved him as a delegate, and now your signature is on there. You hold on to that paper. All right, paper applications arrived at headquarters. There it is, 70% errors, and now we're less than 3% errors due to the fact that it's all electronic. After that email comes in, we get the 2 signatures written down, and the sponsoring post must sign this affidavit. And this is what it says at the bottom. You need to read this, believe it. I hereby certify I've interviewed this applicant. We will not accept an applicant without a sponsor. But as Fred Rogers, do you hear today? Fred came up with a great saying. He says, not one kid will miss a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for lack of sponsorship. Not one kid will miss a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for lack of sponsorship. So that's why Gene helped us out so much last year. Fred has helped us out so much. And you district commanders this year, the charge is, we're not going to need a Gene Tuohy clearinghouse anymore because we're going to rely on every one of the 22 districts to take care of your district. Gene's going to be a go-to guy because his name and email are going to be on the website here. Thank you, Gene. I didn't tell him that yet. The Legion process. All right, now, back to the website. When you go back to the website, this is what you see on the front page. It scrolls. That movie we saw a while ago, when you hover over that first button that says, what is Texas Boise State? It just rolls. That movie just plays behind it. Okay? So don't get alarmed. The next button is that says for parents right there. If you look, the one on parents is highlighted in gold. That's what you'll see right there. You just remember that picture. That's what you'll see when you hover over that button. The next picture is for schools. That's what you'll see every time. The next button you'll see is for Legion. When you see the Duo Docs happy faces, that knows you're in the right place right here. And this is going to tell you how to select your delegates. This right here. So go to the bottom page where it says for Legions, and now watch this. You click on that button, and it's going to look just like this. You'll still see the boys back there. 4 choices. Process, that's what you're going to need to click right there. You're going to click in just a minute. Payment, Legion Day, and volunteer. So if you want to volunteer for the program, we'll talk about it at the end, you can click there and find out about it. If you want to know, well, how do I submit payment? Well, you can click on payment. It's pretty self-explanatory. So let's go to the process. Now, you're going to want to select your boys to go to Boys State. You're going to want to select the delegates. You're going to select the process. Process and instructions, exactly how to select a delegate for Texas Boys State. Determine the number of students that you are going to send. Now, remember what I said? Fred gave us a great saying, not one boy will be refused a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for lack of sponsorship. So if I say I'm going to send 5 boys, and I come up with 6, or I come up with 8, get in touch with the district commanders. Tell all your post commanders, come see me. We do not want to refuse one qualified delegate a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for not having sponsorship. We'll find the sponsorship. You guys can find the sponsorship, but you've got to vet them. They've got to be capable and ready to go to Boys State before we can sponsor them. So this is the exact process. Contact, it tells you all step by step. Print the marketing materials. Let's go to that real quick. The brochure looks just like this. It's on the website. It's a trifold brochure. That's the front and the middles, and that's the back right there. It's got all the information. It's just a simple trifold brochure. You can print that out and have copies of that at your office. Next is the fact sheet for Texas Boys State. And it's got all the facts on it. The programs, where is it going to be held? What's the ideals of Boys State? Now, let's go back one about. Under School Administrator tab, show you where that is. All right, if you go to right here and you go to schools, you're going to find, sorry, I put that in the wrong area there. School Administrator tab. Now, this is what you're looking for. This is what you're going to interview for. And I'm going to get John to come up here in just a few minutes, and Gene to come up here in a few minutes. Gene vetted over 100 Boys Staters last year. John said, I don't know how many governors and Boys Nation delegates through Boys State from Brenham. So you want to talk about 2 good guys that can vet and show you the right way to vet somebody? These are 2 great guys. Here's what they're looking for. Academic performance, interpersonal skills, leadership skills, solid oratorial skills, a hard worker. Those are just some of the characteristics you're looking for in a Texas Boys State delegate. So remember those, and it's right there on the website. That's taken right off the website under School Administrator, what you're looking for in your school. You scroll on down. You download all the paper application. You can apply online right now. Now, there's an address right there at the bottom. Attention, Mamie Hughes, the American Legion Department of Texas. Remember that application that the boy filled out, the parents filled out, and the doctor filled out, where he went through it all, and he got it back in the mail. He brought it back to you. You signed it all. That's where it goes, right there. That's where they go, right there. With the payment. Tuition. Now let's talk about this just for a minute. Payment and program information. Now look here. It's $295. It's $295. We haven't gone up on the cost. $295. The cost actually is $330. We keep a very strict budget and great data on what exactly it costs. Where do we make that up? We make that up in the store. We make that up in sales of Boys State paraphernalia, of hats and and swag bags and stuff like that. So it's a great program. $600-800. Any other high school program is about $600 or $800 to go to for the week. We're $295. $295. It's a once in a lifetime opportunity, but you've got to choose those delegates with those right characteristics to come through this program. That's a once in a lifetime opportunity. It is very, very, very good program. 35 years I've been here. John's been here, I know, 30-some years. And we come back every year because we're motivated by the boys that you send, because that's our future. Remember 2 years ago, what did we vote in the House? We voted to secede from the Union. Well, my executive team buddies, I went to Indianapolis to Nationals, and I was the only one there. And Craig called me and says, oh, hey, we're giving a presentation, by the way. I'll send you the PowerPoint. So I stood up there, and they almost had to vote to let me stay at National that year. And I said, now look, if y'all don't straighten up, we'll secede again. Now, secession, you know that's silly. We weren't teaching secession. We weren't teaching an outcome. We were teaching the process. So remember, when you talk to your delegates, we teach the process in Texas government, in the national government, of how you get involved, how you can get things done, how your vote makes a difference, how your actions, even in your community, makes a difference. All right, so we have got some time. I'm going to ask for just a few questions. If anybody has a question, then we're going to go through some mock interviews of what do you ask a boy? Yes, sir.
Steve Kim's, 6th District. I have a question for the application process. In our own town in Bryan, we actually had schools that had a limit. They're only going to send 2 girls.
No, we have some experts in school leadership. We have some superintendents. We have some doctors that spend time in schools. It is a Legion program. It's not a school program. We use the schools to bring the boys to the Legion to be selected to the program. So we need to explain that to the schools. Send the boys. Send the boys. Yes, ma'am.
My question is similar. I'm Pamela Jennings Flynn from Post 127 Tomball. And we have a family who's contacted us. Their student goes to a military academy in another state, but the family lives in Tomball. So even though they go to school in another state, can they come to Boise State here, or do they have to go in the state where they're schooled?
As a minor, he is still carrying custody of his parents. I'm sure in Tomball, so his place of residence would be Tomball, place of his custodians.
Hi, Linda Weston from Mesquite, Post 504. I'd just like to make 2 comments. I have a better luck with my ROTC instructors in our district than the counselors. I'm trying to wear them down though, and my success rate is every one of the kids that I've sent to Boise State have gotten into West Point that have applied, except for one, and he went to Annapolis.
Very much in agreement with you. I'll tell you what, I know John ran our flag program for a long time, and I ran it for a little while after that, and I made some new guidelines. And I'll tell you what, the pride those ROTC gentlemen come in, and even those that are not in ROTC, once they see the proud, the ability to stand straight and proud and carry that guide on, it makes a man and a leader out of someone that might not otherwise be.
Justin Ford, Amarillo, Texas, Post 54. I was just wondering, kind of dovetail off that question, what kind of synergy or work between junior ROTC programs at Boise State there might be? Does junior ROTC recognize the work that a student or a cadet may go to?
Yes.
They do?
Yes. And if you've got a good ROTC instructor, they know all the kids in the school, all the kids, and they can help with them for the counselor as well.
Thank you.
And you remember at the bottom of that pledge that you will return back to your home post and give a report and brief next year's boys. That is the greatest return we have for boys with great character than anything else, is the word of mouth carried back to their high schools and to their posts. So hold those boys accountable to that pledge. Yes, sir.
Alan Season, the Fighting Fifth, Dallas, Texas.
Come on.
I don't have a question, I have a comment, actually. We sent from Post 292 a young man to Boys State. He befriended another young man at Boys State. They became fast friends. His parents were financially situated as such, they offered to and paid for this young man to go to college. That young man right now is the first lieutenant serving in the United States Army. If you don't think Boys State can make an impact, you're seriously mistaken. That young man's whole life took another turn in trajectory because we sent him to Boys State.
God bless you. Thank you.
I have to add here, here's an ask. We always get asked in the Legion, what can I do? We need to hear those stories. Because what we're going to do is we're going to share it, right? We got to share the life, why we volunteer for 35 years and 40 years, because it does some real good in what feels like a crazy world, right? It does real good for young men, and some of them, it changes their entire trajectory. So what I'm personally asking you, if I need an email from you, chairman@texasboystate.com, and share those stories, because we're going to turn around and share it globally. I guarantee you, we have a way to do that. It also helps you with the challenges of a counselor or others out there they just don't know who we are or what we do. So the more you can share that real story about life-changing stuff, frankly, there aren't many programs in the world that do it like that. I know it sounds to some people wonky, but we can see them on the day they arrive and when they leave, and then we have stories like that. So I just gotta, with some passion, as you can tell, for what we do, I need you, commanders, to share those stories with me personally so we can propagate it out there. It does a whole lot of good for the program, and it just builds that connective tissue we want to do. And oh, by the way, for our Legion as well, okay? The more we talk about Texas Boys State, American Legion Texas Boys State, it starts to create bigger stuff for the Legion. I know you're aware of that, but it all ties together in a way. But we need your help. I need the stories. I need the heart-touching stuff about what we do, because that gets us the horsepower to keep it going for the next 50 years. Okay, so a personalized, thank you for sharing that, sir. And then I need you. Okay, send me those stories. Sorry, I think
that's great, Case. God bless you. Thank you. We just talked about that. We meet every Thursday at 5 o'clock, all throughout the year on the telephone. We have a conference call. We're all over the United States. We meet every Thursday at 5 o'clock for 30 minutes to an hour and a half. We just talked last week about, don't you think it's time? Because we send each other these stories. The superintendent might send us an email, and then we share it with the executive team. And don't we think it's time to put all these stories into one place where all can see those success stories? Yes, please. Chairman@TexasBoysState.com or Director@TexasBoysState.com. Share your stories, and we'll put them in one place and put them in the Legion Times to where you'll be able to see those also.
A story again. We had a high school in our community that we were really button heads with. I think that's what Steve was alluding to a little earlier, where the counselors over there really didn't support the program. But they got a new principal in over there, and I went over and personally met with that principal. And after 2 years, I actually got an invite back to the high school after going over there and talking to him and talking to him and talking to him. I didn't sell the program. We had a young man named Caleb who went to Texas Boys State and then went off to Boys State National. I took Caleb. Caleb sold the program. He was the guy that went in. I just stood there and looked handsome and let the young man do all the talking. And believe me, I've already talked to the principal over there. I got 15 applications coming, including his son.
Amen. That's Brian, Texas too. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm gonna bring John Breeden up here and Gene Toohey. Remember, over 100 vetted, and I don't know how many boys over the years John sent from Brenham, Texas, but it's a bunch. So we're gonna go through a mock process of what they would ask a delegate before they approved him to be a Boy Stater.
And before we do that, I'm going to address, Steve, your question because of personal experience. What we do is we have the school counselor give us, say, the top 20, 25 kids. And we bring them in and talk to them and say, you have been nominated by your school to be potentially a delegate. Now, here's our process, and here's what you've got to do to apply and to give us why I want to go to Boise State, and then we're going to go through and vet and choose who goes. We had a situation a few years ago where the counselor not only said, here's the kids, they put them in a pecking order. Well, when we finished, who they had number 1 or 2 happened to be like number 12. And they pitched a fit and said, we're the ones that chose these. What the hell are you doing? And hey, it's not your program. It's our program. You're giving us the kids that we interview and choose. We choose, not you. And we had to go through a year or so of some bumps. But they completely understand. It's our program, and we do the choosing. Okay? And so they're not giving us 2 names. They're giving us a bunch, because invariably, and we just had a meeting the other day with our 20-some-odd kids. And, you know, one kid comes and says, hey, I qualified for the state 4-H, whatever it was, and it's the first time I've done that, and it's at the same time. Would I be able to leave for a couple of days and come back? No, you won't. You're going to be at the program, or you're not going to be at the program. You're going to have to choose which you want. And we told them, go home, talk to your parents, and then you'll either tell us you want to go on with the process, or, you know, bow out. We have kids that I'm going on a mission trip with my church. We have, you know, whatever. So when we have that many, we have to have that many to get down. So we send our 10 delegates and have some alternates, you know, whatever. And that's the reason that there's that many the school gives us. But they understand they're giving us prospective folks for us to interview, to vet, and to choose.
So one of the vetting processes is, several years ago, before I ever even became involved in the program, we had forms that were out there on the website. How many of you remember those forms that were on the website, the selection forms? They still exist on the form. If you go to texaslegion.org, under Forms and Publications, scroll down to the bottom where it says Program Forms, you will see Texas Boise State Post Application. It's an Excel or PDF format. You will see the Texas Boise State Local Post Application. You will see the Local Post Evaluation Form, and you will see the Local Post Score Sheet Form. I'm here to tell each and every one of you Legionnaires, those are the best 4 forms that you can probably use during your vetting process. It will give you, on the evaluation form, 10 individual attributes that during your interview process you should be looking for in that young man as a potential Boise Stater. Dress, appearance, voice, community service, interest, desire, and there's 5 others, I can't call them all by name. Then it gives you the ability during your interview process to give them a numerical score. For example, taking the Past National Commander's example, if you have 12 young delegates but you only have the financial means to send 8, how are you going to get those 8? After you complete your process, similar to like oratorical, but a little bit easier, you use your fellow Legionnaires in your post that you did your questionnaires with, they tally up the points, you add them up, and at the end of the process, you stack rank them, number 1 through 12. We have 8 available, number 1 through 8, and number 9 through 12 become your alternates. So some questions that I feel are pertinent and that we've used over the years, and I've been invited to go to several different districts. I would ask a young man, tell me your name, get to know him. What do you know about the flag? What do you know about the Constitution? What do you know about the school counselor who represented you or recommended you? Get those icebreakers out of the way. Some of the really cool questions that when you're really going to get to know these people would be, tell me a current hot topic that's going on in your high school right now, and tell me where you stand on that position and why. Over the last several years, we have heard answers everything from transgender bathrooms, to the burning of the flag, to secession, you name it. They live it. They're there daily, right? They're in the lunchrooms. They're in the classrooms. They're in the homerooms. Let them young boys tell you what's going on in their lives so that you can understand And it also kind of gives us an idea and a purview of what we might see in the upcoming year. So that's what we would do. We usually set all the boys out there. We have the Legionnaires in the back. And I, over the years, finally said, you know what? It is still the Legion program, but I started inviting the high school administrators who recommended them and the NJROTC people to sit on the interview panel with us, and I gave them the forms also. Please score the way you want to score, just as an FYI. We took that into consideration, and it has enhanced our program immensely, because now that school facilitator who nominated the person, they got to see the categories, and they now realize they're not just picking people. And the person that I'm going to represent and recommend next year, we're getting higher and higher and higher qualified people, because they said, we had no idea that you were that choosy, that you were that picky. We didn't know what you were looking for, except for those 5 bullets on the website. But now they see that we care about their dressing. When those NJROTC young kids walk in there in their uniform and they're impeccable, and we have a tennis player who comes in wearing the holy jeans and is no yes sir, no yes ma'am, no nothing like that, it all plays a part into it, right? It's just, those are just recommendations. So that's what we do. We would actually just sit there, give us your name, and they would tell us. And then at the end, hopefully the parents that come, we talk to the parents as well. That's your opportunity to do your PR. It's your opportunity to extend your hand to them, for them to shake your hand and look you in the eye and let them ask you questions. It works, and it works extremely well, I think.
And everybody has a different way of their interview or their vetting and what all, but it's important to choose the right folks. I emphasize that your vetting and your choosing, back a few years ago, a lot of places were just asking the school, give us the kids. Well, the whole thing is they're choosing for the wrong reasons. In some cases, they feel that this kid needs a remedial boost. We're not there to do remedial work. You know, we're a fast-paced program with top-notch kids. We don't have time for remedial. And while we may have one counselor to 8 kids and whatever, that we don't have time to work with a kid individually. So we're not a remedial training. The other thing is they choose sometimes for the wrong reason. And if you don't vet, we're going to end up with an application for a girl to attend, and we don't have the dorm room, we don't have the facilities, we don't have the ability to handle it. And if somebody out there thinks that's neat, that's not neat. But it will happen if you don't do the interview and do the vetting. And a few years ago, and I'm not even sure how long ago that was off the top of my head, but we had a school that chose someone and sent someone that was against our whole program. Their reason for being there was to subvert. And they sent their information to Texas Monthly, who ran with it with this terrible article, and here's what's going on, and these people are trying to this, and this, and it was a disaster. And you know why? Because the American Legion Post never even talked to the young man, just signed off. And that's what ended up happening. So it's important that you vet, that you actually talk to them, and that you know who you're sending. Now, one of the things we do when we talk to our young men is they have to write us a short essay on why I want to go. And in their application process, we want to know what they're doing at school and in the community. Are they in the Boy Scouts? Are they in 4-H? Or are they in this club at school? What all? And emphasize the leadership positions and stuff. And we choosing leaders. And all of that's part of what we take into account in making the determination. And so ours is more of a written interview. While we do talk with the kids, we get them to put down on paper, and I always emphasize to them, you're fixing to do this and you're turning it in on this date. Our kids, they have to have it turned in, I think it's the 12th or 13th of February. But I emphasize, we're going to judge you by what you put down. You don't put down something, too bad. And a few years ago, there was a kid that I knew real well, and he didn't put it all down. And we couldn't take it into account because the other people didn't know him. And I'm not going to sit there and say, but he didn't say this and he didn't say that, because I don't have that to say with the other kids. And so he has to learn right then. Someday it's a job interview, some days it's something else. And if he hadn't learned to do it correctly now, it's going to affect later. And it's a learn by doing, and he just fell on his butt.
You know, like I said, and thank you for that, those forms, they're just good recommendations, they're guidelines. it's always going to be your program. So take that suggestions, mold that to fit what your post wants to get from those delegates. I would also like to say something else is there's usually an area in there, grade point average, it's usually a part of it. I've also told the nominating school counselors, the NJROTC people, a GPA does not always tell the story, and I'll tell a story about my own self. In high school, I started out like a rock star, and I knocked out my grades, and then I had a rocky year one year. But I said, if you have a person that didn't have a good 9th year or didn't have a good 10th year, whatever it is, and their GPA is not 3.9 or 4.0, but yet you know that that person in the last year had an aha moment in life and changed their life and has turned around, and you still feel that they need to get there, don't let the GPA be a disqualifying factor. Use your own judgment and see that that person has changed their life around, because sometimes the person that's the perfect 4.0 has never received a rocky road, but the person that had surfed it still deserves a second chance. So I remind my nominee people to keep that in mind as well, because
it's only one factor.
Because there's only one factor. So just take those forms, and as long as you vet them appropriately, whether it's through a written essay, the oral interview, or the go-to-school interview, it's your program in the end. The main thing that I think is the most important is that you filled out that Legionnaire section, you signed post chairman, post 17, 4th district, my email and my number, and our post is nominating this person to attend Boys State because they have acknowledged the rules that they had put in their application earlier.
And I'm
going to do one more thing, and I'm going to sit down, okay?
I want you to get that website from you, tell everybody that website one more time. Your website.
TexasBoysState.com is where you get the application from. And the last thing on, that's kind of
you're going back to TX Legion and
then the forms are on txlegion.org website, but the application's on TexasBoysState2Ss.com. And then if you have a question, I know I spoke to somebody else the other day, because we have 3 things I think that's important is, and past National Commander Breeden talked about it, they sometimes have to choose whether they're going to attend Boys State or FFA or FHA or tennis camp or whatever it is. So I recommend, especially in today's world, we've had to go to, now we have a 2-week before Boys State deadline and when you cannot receive a refund on a person that you put in there. So it's highly encouraged that you have an alternate to take that person's place. But we have letters, and I have sample letters. I'm going to provide some. Somebody's already asked me for it. When we select a person to be a delegate, we send them a congratulations. You have received a scholarship to go to TexasBoysState.com. Here's your selection letter. They get a second letter that says, you agree, you've already signed the paperwork and the application to go and represent post number XYZ. When you come back, we're going to give you an award ceremony. You're going to come and tell us your story. And the third thing, which is the most important thing, is I know and I am committing to you, the local post, to attend Boys State. And if I can't attend, I will do my best to give you advance notice so that you can put an alternate in my place, so that you, the post, don't lose those financial funds by not being able to get an alternate in time or ask a refund. And we asked them to sign that paperwork and mail it back to a post. It's just another step of their commitment back to the people that you have gotten to donate the money to send them on a scholarship basis. At our post, we just found that that works really well. That's just a recommendation.
And by the way, when you're talking about the alternates and why they're important, when we were talking to our kids the other day, we have 3 baseball players that are amongst our group. Well, if they qualify for the state tournament, it's at the same time. And so we know if they qualify, and we won't know until a couple of days before Boys State. And so we've got alternates primed to understand that you might go and you might only have a day or 2 notice. So you need to be ready. And you're watching, and if the team goes through and qualifies for the state tournament, you're going to have to step in. And so you do that with the alternate to make sure they understand that they're prepared. Now, I want to address one other thing. Over the years, I've had so many people, our bingo's down, we're not going to send as many kids. We've got this reason, we're not going to send as many kids. Brenham sends 10 kids year after year after year. We pay for 1. And the Rotary Club pays for one, and the Noon Lions pays for one, and the Evening Lions pays for one, and the Sons of Herman pays for one, and the Elks Lodge pays for one, etc., etc., etc. And our kid comes back and reports to the Legion, and then he reports to each organization, whomever the organization is that sponsored him. And I tell them before they go, it's your responsibility. A few years ago, we had a young man that was an all-state football player, and for whatever reason, he was walking around like, you know, I'm the best thing since sliced bread, and you're lucky that you got to sponsor me. And that attitude came across the organization, and their thing was, if you pick that kind of kid, and by the way, that didn't come across initially in the interview, but it did come across when he attended and followed. And that organization said, we're not going to sponsor anymore. And we lost a sponsor and had to recruit another sponsor. And the whole thing is, it hurt the next one and the next one. And I said, you are here and you're being paid for by somebody who's been impressed in the past, and they gave you the opportunity. And so your job is to come back and make sure that sponsor sponsors the next guy and the next guy. And that's important that we do that.
John, thank you very much. Thank you, Gene. One more thing I'm going to leave with you this morning is this. Volunteer. We need you at Texas Boys State. We not only need you to select the delegates and select them, and I see an opportunity here, Chairman, to possibly put all of that criteria in one location at the Texas Boys State site for Legionnaires. So you may be seeing that come up here in the near future to do that. Apologies for not have done that as of yet. It's on the Texas Legion website. So we'll work through that. We don't want to step on any toes. I'm going to leave you with this challenge. We would love to have one representative from every district at Boys State serving as a counselor. I think it's a great idea for you to get out there, to know the programs, or someone from your district to get into the program and know the program. I think it's also a great idea for us. Yeah, Too Deep Leadership. When we're sitting at the meetings and we've got to send people back and forth, we need bodies. We need bodies to send people back and forth. Yes, sir.
Is there a vetting process for anybody that wants to be a counselor?
Yes, sir, there sure is.
And what's that timeline? I've got someone who wants to volunteer. What's the timeline?
It'll be by May the 1st. So you'll see it, if you look on here at this volunteer, you'll look on here's minimum requirements. It also tells you exactly what you have to do. Walk a minimum aggregate 8 miles, 90 to 100 degrees a day. So there's all, it is not a vacation. It's not a vacation. So you have to be prepared to participate in the program to keep up with the boys, because that's why we are there. So there's all the strenuous qualifications you need right there. 474, actually 440 and 22 is what I learned today. So these are the numbers, less than 1/3 of all these schools that we're reaching. So we need you in the program. Yes, sir.
Mike Corey, 12th District, 0655. Has anybody talked about the criteria that came out and noticed about citizenship?
Citizenship.
There was something that came out, somebody mentioned it to me about the fact that before they go to the Boys Nation, they have to be American citizen.
American citizen, that's correct.
And how do we vet that?
That's done before you can go to Boys State. You have to be a citizen of the state of Texas.
So do I ask every kid that wants to go to Boys State whether they're a citizen or not, and
yes,
open
sir.
herself up to all kinds of liability and
Legal resident.
Yeah, that's not correct. They don't have to be a citizen to go to Boys State. They have to be selected for Boys Nation.
So optimistically, I know, John, that every one of my boys is going to go to Boys Nation. So what do I do in preparation for that?
So to go to Boys Nation, you must be a citizen of the United States, yes. And you must have attended a Boys State program.
You do not need to be a citizen. You need to be a legal resident.
Legal resident, excuse me. Legal resident in the United States and have attended a Boys State program.
All right, that's still do I ask every kid if there's a legal resident?
Yeah, that's actually on the pledge. All right, To have one member from each district, that's what we're looking for. Thank you for your service, thank you for your time, thank you for your participation, dedication, consistency to the Boys State program.
Thank you, sir.